We'll reconvene in open session. Apologies for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, amongst other things, but we did have some technical difficulties. Can I get a motion to reconvene in open session? Moved by Doug, seconded by Jim. All those in favor? We're now reconvene in open session. As we begin, we acknowledge that the land in which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in Canada. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Closed session recommendations, there are none. Consent agenda, we have 7.1 to 7.10. Are there any items in the consent agenda anyone would like to take taken offline? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda. Moved by Sandy, seconded by Jim. All those in favor? That's passed unanimously. Business arising from the minutes. I see none. Megan, nothing. Correspondence, Chief. There's quite a list of or three of the things there. One in particular. I don't know if you want to comment, Chief, on the recent police line duty deaths. It's been very troubling to see, and it's right across the country. You just came back from the Chiefs of Police conference in Edmonton. Any comments on that, or we can move on?
Thanks, Jim. I'll briefly comment. Sorry, I was just getting an echo there. So yeah, thank you very much. So recognizing the tragedies across the province and the country with recent fatalities in the line of duty, and also some recent suicides, I can tell you our profession is profoundly reflecting and acknowledging on the dangers and also the impacts of our work across the country. And having just been with our team at the Canadian Association of Chiefs Conference in Edmonton, this is an ongoing impact that's being felt across the country, and it's nice to see the Inspector of Policing recognize that in the correspondence. I'll just briefly comment as well on the two other letters as well. We recently attended a meeting held by the Inspector of Policing on anti-Semitism and a notice of issue framework. So locally, we are engaging with our Jewish community and organizations to implement recommendations in the framework, but we're also taking a broader view to implement the framework with other impacted communities across Waterloo region related to hate crimes and hate incidents. And then lastly, you'll see there listed the annual report of the Inspector General, and very proud that WRS was recognized for two standout implementations, one related to police investigation enforcement regarding drug trafficking, and the licensing of establishments related to our total approach to safe communities related to drug offenses, and also recognizing ESCO, the Emergency Services Cooperative Ontario, as a leading practice related to the IT consortium that we have with multiple agencies. So that is a proud achievement to be recognized across the province as having some leading practices. So back to you, Chair McLean. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Police Service Board reports are on today. Chief of Police reports, 11.1 is our June 2026 financial variance report. Kirsten's joining us, if I'm not mistaken, Chief, but any introductory remarks?
Just briefly, and I know we had a bit of a later start today, but I do believe we will be on track to end in good time today. So with that, we'll hand it over to our CFO, Kirsten Hand, who will walk us through the financial variance report. Over to you, Kirsten. Thank you.
Good day. I will just share my screen here. All right, so today you have a report within your package outlining the financial results for the second quarter, or June year to date. For the operating budget, we are closed June year to date at 96% of the budget year to date. At this point, we are forecasting a surplus of approximately 367K or 0.1% of the budget, noting that there are still variables that we will be monitoring, including projections on hiring and recruitment, spending variability, and the level of overtime. For the staffing component, we closed June year to date with a $3.8 million surplus. Now, please note that there are some payouts that occur later on in the year, and we just settled a Senior Officers Association collective agreement and retro back to the beginning of 2025. And so that still needs to be processed. So to date, we did see some savings due to, at times throughout the year, staffing levels being below authorized levels. But I will note that staffing, it is slightly above our authorized complement as of the end of June. We also had some savings from leaves, and as I mentioned before, lower cost of living expenses than budgeted to date. Overtime hours have increased year over year by 16%, due primarily to staff shortage and investigations in our patrol and investigative services area. Although I will also note when we closed July year to date, that has decreased to 13% increase year over year. So we hope that trend continues. There's a number of variances greater than 100K in your package, but I'll just touch upon a couple of the larger items. So for small equipment, we did see a negative variance, or it was over budget year to date on the expense side of about 500K. Now, this is completely due to either receiving higher grant revenues or recovery funded purchases, including new clients for our ESCO cooperative. So it is completely offset by revenue with no impact to the bottom line. Fees is under budget year to date by 403K, and that's primarily due to lower legal consulting and counseling fees. A number of these we do think will level out by the end of the year. And we also saw some savings year to date for communication costs by 651K in our telecommunication costs, as well as with the delay of the final NG 911 completion, we will see some permanent savings for emergency 911 expenses. On the revenue side, there's a number of variances that I'll just point out. For general police revenue, we are receiving federal funding towards the prohibited firearms buyback program. So that was not budgeted. So year to date, we saw 171K. Our record check revenues are over budget by 189K to date. Paid duty is under budget by 200K. And we also saw a number of recoveries through to other police services that resulted in over budget by 421K. The bylaw dispatch and cost recovery was delayed based compared to initial budget projections. So that is under budget by 159K. And lastly, in that area, we are seeing donations for the Hearts and Heroes Awards Gala. So there's a positive variance of 275K, as that was not budgeted for. On the ministry grant side, there's a timing item related to our community and safety policing grant program of $1.4 million, although we will note that we are going through a process to finalize what the final grant award amounts will be. We saw additional revenues from our hate crime and extremism investigative team recoveries, and we will see some positive permanent variances related to our court security and prisoner transportation cost upload funding. That will be at 400K positive variance, where we saw increases in our cost recovery from last year, although year to date, we're seeing 200K of that. And lastly, I spoke a little bit about this on the expense side, but we are seeing a positive variance for our ESCO cooperative from external revenue. And this relates to one-time implementation fees, not budgeted and recoverable through new clients. For capital, spent or committed through a purchase order. We see 63% of the budget realized. We are forecasting to spend about 87% with an estimated carry forward of 4.5 million and a small amount of savings. To date, we have purchased 44 of the 68 budgeted vehicles. There's a number of information technology projects, including the automated asset and evidence management solution that was previously installed at Central Division and is now installed at our North Division. We have NG 911, of which we do cost recovery from our partners related through ESCO, as well as we have grants towards that project. The closed circuit television implementation, which I know you'll get some more information on that later on within this report. The upgrade to the technical investigations system, and that again is cost shared through a number of police services. And some voice radio equipment purchased to support the bylaw dispatching project. And lastly, we're doing some security site enhancements for our voice radio sites and building. For facilities, we have the new Central Division solar panel installation, which is in progress, and our third floor renovations. You will note that within our procurement report, we have awarded the construction contract to Zaire, and that construction has now began. We have electrical vehicle infrastructure study at our divisions, continued security enhancements to our facilities, and the implementation of a UPS systems at our investigative services and South Division buildings. For the Public Safety Communication Center, we continue to be within the design phase with anticipated tender distribution towards the end of this year and award early next year. And then we also have continued facility renewal projects. So within the report, you'll see two recommendations. Firstly, we're requesting a capital budget restatement to decrease Police North Division renewal by 13K and transfer that 13K to the firearms training facility renewal. There were some roof repairs done on that facility, and it ended up being slightly over budget. So we just wanted to balance that component. And then lastly, the approval of the establishment of an ESCO capital reserve. The budget meeting for ESCO occurred in June, and part of that was a review of their existing reserve policy. Through that review, there was a recommendation that we implement a capital reserve for ESCO. We already had a contingency reserve, but we recommended that we add a capital reserve to smooth out capital expenditures through the operating budget, which would mirror the approach that we take by WRPS for prudent financial planning, and as well would help fund a potential computer-aided dispatch software upgrade over 2027 and 2028. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kirsten. Anyone joined up yet? Can you just, on the ESCO reserve, that's not funded just by us, that's from all the partners in ESCO, and just to be clear, that's all of our partners in that. Maybe just explain that portion. The budget is passed by the group, and then there would be, so maybe you can just touch on that.
For sure. So as part of the operating ESCO budget, there is a contribution to the reserve. In addition, if they close the year with a surplus, that amount also goes to the reserve. So that the entire operating budget for ESCO is cost shared amongst the partners. And we also do cost recovery to new clients or any existing clients of ESCO. So yes, it is shared across the ESCO partners. Yes.
Okay, Amy, you have a question?
I do, but the motion in the recommendation is for an emergency services reserve. It would operate the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Emergency Services Cooperative Ontario. So that's ESCO, but we're just actually formalizing a reserve account.
Yeah. So the The ESCO.
Yeah, it's one reserve, it's one reserve account, right, Kirsten? But the partners all make their contribution. We are the keeper because we do the administration for ESCO as a whole. So that's all the other services, Stratford, Woodstock, whoever else is in it. One reserve, we are the keeper of it. So it's just to establish that so it's identifiable. Yeah, no, that's good.
Exactly. The management committee approved the the creation of a capital reserve to complement the existing contingency reserve. But as per our WRPS reserve policy, before I can set up any new reserves, I must come to the board to get that approval from a governance perspective.
Okay, other questions? I had just one more. The overtime, and this is, we over a number of years, I don't know how many years I've been on the board, maybe 5, we intentionally have been adding more badges, which we've done, and it sounds to me like we're getting up to complement, but the idea is that we really try and get that overtime down. We're still over, so 16% last year, we're under on full-time. And that's, is this just a, I guess what I'm trying to spit out, this is always a timing issue because we've added new officers when they come online and when we don't have to backfill for them on OT. So when do you figure we are going to get more of a balance of closer to what we budget on overtime because we've got full complement of officers on the ground, if you will?
So the consultant ORH made some recommendations of sworn positions that we would need to add to the budget to support patrol operations. That was smoothed out over a multi-year process, recognizing that we couldn't recruit all of them at once. So as we go along, it takes into effect that we would need to fill those positions for overtime requirements to decrease. There is also a timing component that even though we're slightly over authorized, we would have a contingent in pre-Ontario Police College and a contingent in post-Ontario Police College, and they have to be fully trained before they can go to those patrol positions.
Okay, I mean, just a refresher that there's a plan in place because that was always one of the things we're Karen, quickly up.
And the other thing that like overtime seen on the patrol side, but also on the investigative services side, and they are finalizing their recommendations in order to address the investigative services side, which will come to the board later this year as well.
Karen?
So I'm just curious, and I don't recall if the consultants for frontline and then as well upcoming and investigative, have they come up with a industry or best practice standard for what the percentage of overtime should be? Because recognizing police services is not going to get to zero ever. And so I think that when we refer to improving and reducing our OT, I think the general public may think, yeah, down to zero and you're way off. I don't, so I think an industry standard or a best practice standard would be helpful. And maybe they've already done that. That piece of information in my brain.
Yeah, so I think Mandy's on this call too, so I don't know if she wants to jump in, but they have been doing comparison to other police services. The other piece is that we know that we've been chronically under budgeting for overtime. So we're trying through each budget process to increase that budget to a more reasonable level. But yes, there is that work undergoing to understand like what is an appropriate amount of overtime and how do we make sure we have the budget that can fund that.
And I guess maybe, and Mandy, you can jump in if you'd like, but part of this is as a budgeted number, and this is the variance report, is saying, here's what you budgeted. Where are we at related to that, right? So maybe just when if this is one of the ones that we always ask about, you put on there, I think a note there that says, here's why it was, budgeted at X amount and maybe just the explanation. Because I mean, I don't want this to be, because I think we're doing well and we do have more of the resources of frontline and investigations, et cetera. So this is an ongoing thing. I think it should be, we have confidence that what's happening is we're getting closer to the resources we need, and that overtime will always be a thing, but we're getting closer to what we expect that to be, both administratively and then for us as governors of saying, you passed the budget, and are we meeting the objectives? So just that context piece, because we only get this, quarterly. I want to make sure that it's fresh in everyone's mind. So, Mandy, did you want to add?
Yes, thank you very much. So I'll just jump in and tell you a little bit about the work that we have going on monitoring overtime. So we do have an overtime working group that meets about once a month. And our strategic planner, Dr. John Fast, is continually monitoring work against that overtime to ensure that the business rules through which we grant overtime requests are fit for purpose. Because like you said, there'll always be some contingent overtime. We just want to make sure that's done in a fiscally responsible way and in a way that protects members' well-being as well, because the member well-being is a key component of this story of overtime. So we have that pocket of work going on. And Kirsten was right when she said that the ORH work didn't specifically look at overtime, but we do have an abstraction rate and a staffing recruitment plan that will backtrack overtime. So overtime will reduce the reliance on overtime to fill staffing needs. As part of these two components of work, we do look to our comparator police services to see if WRPS is wildly out of step with the overtime hours, and we are not. So there's different streams of work. We're always continually reviewing this topic.
Okay, thank you for that. Other questions, Tony?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. So it kind of hinges on the investigative portion of it. On the overtime, does anyone have an idea how much of that overtime is contributed to investigative services? How much of it is relative to frontline patrol? You don't have that, that's okay.
Yep. So I don't have the exact numbers, but I can tell you the pattern. So overtime in investigative services is very much driven by events that happen in the community that might need that capacity and those members to do that work. So it does fluctuate in response. It's a reactive response. The main driver in this organization for overtime hours is staff shortage on patrol.
That's good. Okay, well, it's not good to know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, like, I think there was mention of a report coming later to the board. And I guess investigative services, there's an increasing demand, just given the increasing complexity of crime that we're facing. I presume that has something. And also, if you look at a continuum of policing from patrol and individuals moving in then into the investigative service, there's a time to develop and train, et cetera. I presume all of that will be encompassed in whatever report is coming to the board as we kind of look at short, but also medium and long-term viewing of how to handle overtime and compliments of sworn officers.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not? Okay.
I saw a nod there from Manny, so that's good. Okay. No more questions. There's motion before the board. One is on the North Division, the other is the establishment of the EBSCO Reserve. Moved by Tony, seconded by Doug Craig. Any questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor? That's passed unanimously. We'll move on to 11.2 and 11.3, I believe. Deputy Fenton is doing, Chief, is he doing the cadet program and part-time officer program?
That's correct. Yeah, Deputy Fenton will handle the next two in succession. So over to you, Eugene. Thanks.
Good morning, Chair McLean and members of the board. Happy to provide a brief presentation summarizing these two reports before you on cadets and part-time officers. So we can just go to the next slide of the background. So just a bit of background for the board. March 20th, 2024, we brought a couple ideas and programs to you as pilots. One was for cadets and one was for part-time officers. And the board supported both of those as pilots. In August of 2024, we hired our first cadets. And in September 2024, we hired our first part-time officers. Both programs have been successful, and both have been supported by the Waterloo Regional Police Association. And we're here today to give you a brief summary of the outcomes and advise you of our future plans. Next slide, please. So before I dive into the cadet program, I do want to acknowledge a few people. So retired Inspector Deb McBride, who actually originally was one of our cadets, and Staff Sergeant Matt Halliday, who fully embraced this program and worked hard to get it off the ground, as well as Jamie Ferreira from our Human Resources branch, and Mandy Williams, who helped with this evaluation and report. The program was designed to address two key recruitment challenges. First, some applicants that we thought had potential to be sworn officers, but they did not have the experience to jump straight into the sworn officer role. Second, we saw some eligible individuals, but they were hesitant to take the leap to become police officer as they were not sure the career was for them, so they never applied. This program allowed us to address both of these issues by creating an entry-level position into the organization to test the job for both parties. The program has also been successful in increasing our overall talent acquisition draw. So our first cohort hired in 2024, 2025, we had 254 applicants, and the cohort that we just ran, the competition we just ran, had 825 applicants. So a significant increase as the program becomes widely known, and the successes are also starting to percolate through the organization, and we're seeing members refer friends and family members to the program. So far, the program has been successful in seeing about 60% of the cadets in the program converting to sworn officers, which was the overall intent of the program. And of those 60%, we're seeing 60% of the ones who became sworn police officers, we're seeing about 60% of those being diverse, either in race, ethnicity, or gender. There is now, with the expansion that we recently committed to, there is now a cadet position on every platoon across the region, and they are being strongly embraced by the teams. Next slide, please. These graphs just show outcomes of the first two cohorts, with the third one being all blue as they are still kind of new and active in the program. The first cohort on the left shows that we had 8 cadets successfully convert into the sworn officer program. We had 2 that were not able to convert and expired out of the program as they were not successful in the competitions. We had 2 resignations who felt that the job was not for them. We also had 1 contract that we terminated early due to us deeming them unsuitable. The second cohort, we had only 1 expired of the program, and to date, 6 successful conversions to sworn, with all the remainder cadets still active in the program. These are positive results for the organization, as it allows the cadets to try the career. And if they or we determine it's not a good fit, we have not committed to hiring them long-term or training them as a sworn police officer, and it ends up being a win-win for all involved. Next slide, please. The second report relates to our part-time officer program. First, I want to acknowledge Inspector Jason Mulholland, who oversees the program out of our operational support area, and Jason also authored the report before the board. So thanks to Jason for that. The purpose behind this program was to use experienced retired officers who still want to give back to the community, but wanted to step back from the full-time commitments and allow them to return on contract to perform duties such as front desk duties, court screening, guarding, prisoner guarding, or scene guarding, etc. These are duties that we normally would have to have full-time deployable officers do, diverting them from the frontline duties directly serving the community. We hired back 7 past retirees who have been filling these critical roles since September of 2024, and have saved over 10,000 patrol hours. In addition to the hours saved, the cost differential of salaries between the 2 classes of employees has also resulted in a net savings of approximately $125,000 since launch. This program is creating meaningful value-added work for our part-time officers and ensuring our full-time sworn officers are focused on frontline policing and serving the community. Next slide, please. So just to wrap up, with the support of the board and the Waterloo Regional Police Association, we've successfully launched these pilots, and both of these programs have gone on to be quite successful. And we look forward to embedding them as permanent programs in our service moving forward. Next slide, and that would be it. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Both are, I remember we started talking about these and it was probably back in the day when we were really amping up our looking for more officers, and programs have certainly helped in filling that role. So thank you for the update. Questions, comments from the rest of the board? Chair Rubin.
Can I just underscore, Deputy Fenton, your comment about it being the right fit? So despite the fact we're not getting 100% people becoming sworn officers, I think that's a really, really important point that early on it's recognized that the fit has to be right. So very impressive statistic.
Thank you. Yes, we find that to be the most valuable part of the program, just to allow them to essentially test drive their career before making that full commitment, to make sure it's for them, because it is a hard career, and we'd rather them make that determination when they're young, that it's maybe not for them, and we're okay with them trying the program out, and if it doesn't work out, that's fine.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you, Deputy Fenton. We'll move on to 11.4, Police Reported Crime 2025, and I think Andy's coming back. Or are you?
Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Manning will present this, and this is a part of a annual national report, but we've added a local perspective as well. So over to you, Mandy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief, and good morning again, members of the board. So this presentation is going to cover highlights from Statistics Canada's Police Reported Crime 2025, and this data is released on July 22nd of the year. So since 1962, Statistics Canada has collected information on all criminal incidents reported by Canadian Police Services through its annual Uniform Crime Reporting Survey. The survey results and corresponding data tables are released annually and presented more fulsomely in the report. For brevity today, I focus on the crime severity indices and the weighted clearance rates as linked to crime suppression as well. So first I'll start by going through the number of authorized police officers per 100,000 population, which is known as COP to POP, for the Big 12 largest municipal police services in Ontario. So that's the Big 12. I also have the province and national COP to POP shown on this screen as well. WRPS continues to have relatively low numbers of authorized officers per population, and in 2025 we dropped to the lowest COP to POP ratio out of the Big 12. We fall below the national and provincial averages on staffing. So moving on to the data presented in the Police Reported Crime Juristat. So here I have the police services visualized in terms of COP to POP, with Windsor having the highest COP to POP ratio and Waterloo region having the lowest COP to POP. You can see the provincial and national levels on the back end there. So in 2025, Waterloo region's total crime severity index decreased by almost 9% to 66.82. We dropped into a ranked position of third highest CSI among the Big 12 police services. The total CSI for Waterloo region falls above the Big 12 median and above the provincial rates, but below the national crime severity index. Notably, this is the third year in a row that the total crime severity index has decreased for Waterloo region. So moving on to the violent CSI index. So this includes specifically crimes against the person, such as homicide, sex assaults, robberies, uttering threats, and the like. What we see here is an interrupted growth trend from 2023 that's continued on for the past few years. So we have a decline in violent CSI over the past 3 years or so. As comparable to the last year's violent CSI, we see a decrease of 7%. But despite this decrease, our violent CSI continues to rank fourth highest among the Big 12 and exceeds provincial levels of violent CSI. We continue to trend below the national violent CSI. Moving on to nonviolent crime severity index. This includes property crime and other criminal code violations such as drug offenses. We've seen a decrease over the past decade, with 2025 marking the 10-year low for nonviolent CSI. Despite this, our nonviolent CSI has, although it had the second largest decrease and dropped a ranked position to third amongst the Big 12, we continue to fall above the provincial level for nonviolent CSI. Here we're looking at the total weighted clearance, which represents the proportion of criminal incidents solved by police weighted by the severity of the offenses. Clearance rates tend to be higher for violent crime than nonviolent crime, but here you're looking at the total clearance rate. Waterloo Region's weighted clearance rate improved from 2024, but falls below the Big 12 median, the provincial rate, and the national rate. We saw improvements in both the violent and nonviolent weighted clearance rates, and notably for the first time, our nonviolence clearance rate exceeded the national level, but it fell below the provincial and Big 12 comparators. So we had some improvement in our nonviolent clearance rate. With the StatsCan reported data, we're able to drill into different components. And here what I'm doing is looking at the priority violations for our crime suppression strategy. So one indicator of success against the crime suppression strategy is the reduced number of criminal incidents or criminal violations for priority crimes. Due to the nature of crime data, we can expect some fluctuation over time, but really what we want to see is an overall decrease across the years of our crime suppression being active. So we want a downward trend in the crimes, which is what we see here in the red boxes. More specifically, both firearm and robbery violations in Waterloo Region fall below provincial and national averages. In break and enters, we had yet another year of double-digit percentage decrease in Waterloo Region, with rates falling above provincial but below national levels. Through crime suppression, WRPS will continue to focus on integrating crime reduction into everyday operations, whether through enforcement, engagement, or proactive initiatives. Accountability forms the foundation of our success. WRPS applies evidence-based strategies to reduce crime along with the support of community partners. Action planning addresses short and long-term crime trends using offender, location, and community-focused strategies. Investigators are in daily contact with other police agencies to investigate and solve crimes across jurisdictions. Partners have been established within the business community to apply prevention tactics, identify suspects, and bring offenders to justice. And patrol officers conduct directed patrol in strategic locations and compliance checks on priority offenders. And WRPS has made great strides in the implementation of this multi-year strategy. We look forward to updating you about this in the future.
Thank you, Mandy. Appreciate the update. Questions? I guess there's some good news in here and there's some not good news. How should we interpret? Because it depends on which aspect. So severe crime numbers are going down, but still above provincial. Like how should we interpret this? And I know we're taking this to focus the resources in the best places to get the best results. Maybe throw that open-ended question to you.
Sure thing. So I think what I find really encouraging within the crime severity indices and clearance rates is the improvement internally over time. So over the past few years, what we're seeing is kind of the decrease where we want things to be low, that's the crime severity indices, and then increase where we want the things to be better, which is the clearance rates. And so with anything, change takes time. And so I'm encouraging that we're continuing to see a trend on the expected direction or the direction we want to see over multiple years. And I look forward to continuing to monitor this trend in future years to make sure that we're on track for where we want to be.
That's a great answer. Chair Ribbon.
So I was sort of going along the same lines, thinking about the inputs and what we can control and what we don't. And I think it's very easy for the community and the media to grab onto a data point. So Mandy, really appreciate the fact that we're looking at trend lines over time. And I always believe every level of government should lean into accountability. And to me, This is indicating that we are going to be accountable. We are going to continue to track these very important parameters to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. So I find this really informative.
Oh, sorry, Chief, go ahead.
Thanks very much. Yeah, just complimenting the comments that have been made and Mandy's response. We are making great strides. I mean, compliments to the leadership of Deputy Davis and Deputy Goodman and all those teams that they support, making a strident and very focused effort on the highest levels of victimization and violence in our community. So that is, to Chair Redmond's point, within our controllability. But also our longer term investments in youth-related crime. In the last presentation, you're going to see some trends that remain of concern to us, and our community collaborative efforts related to community safety, well-being, and beyond that are important about looking at this from a short, medium, and long-term perspective. So thank you.
Okay, Tony.
Yeah, through you, Chair. I'm not too sure who could answer this, but I was wondering, is the data collection from all police services, is there a consistency? Is there a believed consistency on how it is divided? So, what is considered a severe crime severity to hit on that index? And possibly could you have one service not reporting a break and entering as a severe crime, and another one kind of saying, well, this one really isn't a break and entering, it's more of a the door was open, I walked in kind of a scenario. Because the numbers are great, but sometimes it's only as good as the data provided. And I'm just wondering, is there some noise in there possibly in some of these data numbers as well?
So I'll kick it off and then kick it over to Mandy, but I just want Mandy to highlight her role and our role with POLIS and just explaining the national work that's being done, but then just a brief commentary on UCR. And I would just say, as she responds, this is the best that we have across the country, and it's leading, as I would say, globally. But to your point, Tony, there's always room for improvement on data standardization and quality. So Mandy, just give some assurance to the board and the community, the seat to the tables that we're at. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief. Yes. So this is the Uniform Crime Reporting Survey, which is owned by Statistics Canada. And Statistics Canada, as we know, is expert in collecting data that is of national priority and of interest. And so what they do is each year they release a very detailed coding manual that allows people across each police service to look at, what's coming in through the records and identify as belonging to a criminal code violation based on behavior definitions that would be in that manual. And they refresh that every year. Where discrepancies might arise, what happens is it goes to two levels. It first goes to the data managers working group, which we have members from WRPS sitting on and heavily involved in that. And that's the people at the level of, the interface between data and coding, where they kind of work out the discrepancies to make sure they have consistent rules that they're applying across agencies. There's also another line of oversight that goes to POLIS. So POLIS stands for the Police Information Statistics Committee, that's housed through the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police. I sit on POLIS as secretary currently. So what happens at POLIS is where there's discrepancies that arise at the data managers working group, or when new criminal code violations are introduced, it's the POLIS group that sets the data definitions that are used across the nation. And to Chief's point, this is the best quality data that we have for criminal violations currently, and it's very strong.
Okay, all good? Okay, thank you, Mandy, for that. We'll move on to 11.5. We got closed circuit television and automatic license plate readers. Chief is going to introduce this, and then I think we have Inspector Jared Brown joining us. But over to you, Chief.
And I'll turn it over to Deputy Davis to introduce Inspector Brown. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Chair McLean. I am very happy to introduce Inspector Jared Brown of our Innovation and Modernization Unit. He has been in his role since last fall, and he and his team have been instrumental in the rollout of our cameras, which started just about 45 days ago. So today is a first look at the first initial days, and We ensured the board and we ensured community that we wanted to be transparent with information. So are excited to be sharing this initial report with you. Thank you. Have we lost Jarrett or is he on?
Good morning, sir. I'm just waiting
Okay.
for the presentation to come up. Now I'll get started. Thanks, Deputy. Good morning, Chair McLean and members of the Police Services Board. Today, I'm going to be providing you a brief update on the implementation and the initial operational use of the WRPS CCTV and ALPR program. With that, I'm going to move into a brief overview of the deployment timelines. The CCTV and ALPR program launched first in the city of Waterloo on June 23rd, 2026, and expanded into Cambridge and the township of North Dumfries on July 19th, 2026. Initial camera activations began in Kitchener on August 6th, 2026. As of the reporting period in today's report, the program consists of 12 operational locations across the region with 28 cameras deployed. And for context, WRPS is using 3 different types of Verkada CCTV cameras with the integrated ALPR capabilities. We have 3 additional installations planned as we work to support the infrastructure, and we have 1 planned in Cambridge, Kitchener, and Waterloo over the coming weeks. A significant portion of the work associated with the deployment has involved coordination with our municipal partners, the Region of Waterloo, utilities and infrastructure owners, and the success of the rollout has depended on those partnerships, particularly around power requirements, utility ownership, permitting, and installation logistics. So over the first 44 days of operation, the system was accessed 19 times to support investigative requests, and that consisted of 17 historical CCTV requests and 2 ALPR requests that were supported through judicial authorization. The requests originated from all municipalities where cameras were active, and you can see the breakdown in the chart above. The system has already been used to support a broad range of investigations. So we've used it for sexual assaults, robberies, assaults, abductions, break-and enters, fraud investigations, dangerous driving, impaired driving, and motor vehicle collisions. And one of the most encouraging indicators is that we have a variety of investigative use. The system is not just supporting one type of investigation. Our investigative teams are finding value across multiple areas of policing and are beginning to treat the CCTV program as another available source of evidence when developing investigative leads. Although the program remains in its infancy, we have several early investigative successes to demonstrate some value. One example was in an impaired driving incident in North Dumfries Township, where the cameras recorded an impaired driver who fell asleep behind the wheel of a motor vehicle while stopped at a red light. The camera captured the actions of concerned citizens and the coordinated police response and subsequent arrest of the driver. The footage provided compelling evidentiary value by validating witness statements and supporting court proceedings. In another case, investigators used the CCTV footage to determine that a very serious alleged criminal offense had not occurred, which prevented further unnecessary investigative work and community concern. The program's also been used to identify unknown vehicles associated with criminal activity, validate witness statements, establish timelines, determine directions of travel, and develop investigative leads beyond the region of Waterloo, including investigations with links to organized criminal activity. Moving forward, our focus is on responsible expansion and ongoing evaluation. We continue completing the 3 planned installations in Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge as the required electrical infrastructure becomes available. We are going to continue to train our members on the capabilities, limitations, and responsible use of the system. And from an evaluation perspective, we're going to continue to track the program usage, the types of investigations that are being supported, investigative outcomes, and the operational demand on our members of our real-time operations center. This will ensure that any future growth is based on evidence. Finally, we continue to engage with members of the community through the CCTV public ALPR website, frequently asked questions, and the online Q&A portal. This provides residents with a clear place to find information, ask questions, and understand how the program is being used. The goal moving forward is to grow the program in a measured and responsible way while ensuring it continues to support investigations, enhance public safety, and maintain public trust. And that is the presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Well, thank you for that. Any questions? I'm gonna not make a reference to BritBox, because I don't, Karen Redmond, because every time we CCTV, it automatically brings up British police shows. But in any event, I'm not gonna do that today, Karen. I won't ask a question related to that, but I will go to Karen Quigley House.
And thank you for the report. Just curious, for the municipalities that have decided to delay a decision on the CCTV cameras, will this experience inform perhaps their positive decision making to install?
So we remain committed to working with any of the municipalities or townships. We want to respect their choice of the timing or implementation of the program. But certainly, I think that this first positive news and positive report may inform future decisions by each of the townships and municipalities.
So Chief, I have maybe one question, maybe more for the chief. I mean, this is just on this report alone, it shows the efficacy of being able to use this if it's in place. So I guess the question for you with chiefs of police in Ontario and the Canadian chiefs of police, is this something that is top of mind of saying, from a policy perspective, you know, Solicitor General or the provincial governments should be seeing this as a necessity versus like it's a pilot for us. Should this be seen when we have more evidence as being one of those core pieces of policing in the modern age, because we've got because of how complex it is, and again, things like, you know, some of the cars that may be identified through the license or video are coming from other jurisdictions. So real time, is that something that the police chiefs would say is taking this data that we have and being able to get it to the decision makers, both provincially and maybe even federally?
Yeah, I don't want to steal the thunder of the teams that have been working on this, but I would say 2 days ago at the Canadian Association of Chiefs Conference, this is the dialogue about the current and future state of policing, more integration, more intelligence sharing, and the linking of real-time capabilities into the hands of our frontline members and then the investigators as well. So you're absolutely correct. At a provincial level, I can say that there are ongoing commitments to look to increase the linkages of information flow of many forms, and the infrastructure piece is very crucial. So I will say that we are in continual dialogue with the province on the Ministry of Transportation capability along our highway corridors, and we look forward to future positive announcements in time ahead, not just within Waterloo region, but we're hopeful across the province and beyond.
Okay, Karen, go ahead.
I sort of do this with a bit of hesitancy because I'm sure that there's nothing leadership wants more than to do more reports to the board. But, you know, we're all conscious of budget constraints, and how often have we heard work smarter, not harder? And I look at the employment, I didn't make the comment earlier about retired WRPS officers being deployed for desk work and other things, how that saves money. And I look at this and the fact that there was an alleged crime that didn't get investigated because it was proved that it didn't actually happen. And I don't know how we get our arms around that, but somehow all of these tools make us a leaner organization, more effective, and really do show the results happen when you differentiate your approach. So I won't ask for a report, but I will have to say my reflection on this is it's not any one of these, it's all of these, and this is a major step.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you, Chief, and thank you, that was Jared, Inspector Brown. Thank you for that. We'll move on. I think 11.6 is community safety wellbeing feature. Oh, this is the youth engagement strategy on the crime, and Inspector Matthias, and I don't know who is this chief. Jen,
Yeah.
who's
We're getting towards the end. So this is the last report, and then we'll have my chief of police report. So we'll hand over to Inspector Matthias to walk us through, some very important data related to youth crime and our commitments to community safety and well-being initiatives.
Well,
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chief, Chair McLean, members of the board. Very pleased to join you today to provide an update on youth crime data within Waterloo Region. The data in this report reflects offenses that have been reported to WRPS and also analyzes 7 years of our data related to youth recontact and youth violence. Move to the next slide. Thank you. Local youth engagement is linked to the principles of community safety well-being, and we look at areas of intervention, prevention, and social development, but also across the 4 priorities of our regional community safety well-being plan. Youth input and participation is incredibly important, and we're able to access that perspective through our plan using the Youth Advisory Committee. We also have key leadership and participation from both of our boards of education at the steering committee level. Move to the next slide, please. Our WRPS Youth Engagement Strategy was introduced in September of 2024 and lays out key service priorities to action across the 4-year plan, including community and youth safety, leadership and development, and education and outreach. These were developed using police data alongside calls to action from the Children Youth Planning Table Youth Impact Survey, who are a key partner for our service. Move to the next slide, please. Last month, Statistics Canada released police-reported crime statistics in Canada for 2025, which included data on youth crime rates. Since 2021, youth crime rates have increased in Canada, in Ontario, and the region of Waterloo. Over the past 5 years, they've increased nationally by 41%, provincially in Ontario by 54%, in our region by 71%. Next slide, please. We'll look quickly at youth recontact as well. So examining 7 years of WRPS data, excluding 2020 due to some anomalies with the pandemic, there were 3,035 youth criminal occurrences that resulted in over 56,000 violations, 56,369 violations involving 1,713 individuals. Many of these youth were involved in multiple occurrences, and those are considered repeat contacts for us. Of those 1,713 individuals, 36% or 623 of them were repeat contacts. The greatest number of contacts for a single individual was 44. 13 youth were involved in more than 20 occurrences each, and overall 93 individuals contributed to over a third of the occurrences, or 37%. In 2025, repeat contacts made up 42% of all youth criminal occurrences. And that is the highest proportion that we've seen since 2018. As a result, the service introduced an area directive that ensures officers are intervening earlier by referring youth into pre-charge diversion programs, such as the John Howard Society Direct Accountability Program, to ensure that there is accountability for the offense and to connect them to resources at an earlier stage that will change their trajectory and also change the offending behavior. Move to the next slide, please. So we'll look at youth crime by crime type. Statistics Canada provides crime severity indices for youth crime at the national and provincial levels. Overall, youth violent crime severity has increased over the past 5 years in Canada by 27.5%. However, there was a slight decrease from 2024 into 2025 by 2.6%. The same pattern was observed in Ontario, with an increase over 5 years from 2021 to 2025 of 50.4%, but really remaining static between 2024 and 25. Statistics Canada does not provide youth violence data at the municipal level. And so to address this and to identify emerging trends for our region, we examined youth-involved criminal incidents over the past 7 years. And consistent with those trends, we saw youth violent crime has increased over the same period of time by 61.1%, but with a decrease from 2024 to 2025 by 20%. Across 7 years, youth violence most often involved physical force, followed by edged weapons, and all weapon types became less prevalent in 2025 relative to 2024. Additionally, we see on this slide that there's been a significant increase in youth crimes against property by 183% over those 5 years. and represents the largest proportional crime type on that slide. Move to the next slide, please. Intervening earlier with youth is really key, and making sure that we have assets in those preventative spaces is key to regional safety and well-being. And so we look at some key actions that we've taken in 2026 under the youth engagement strategy. We saw that the diversion priority under the youth engagement strategy was aligned as well with justice modernization. We have a team working on that pillar and making key updates to the youth and adult diversion under the direct accountability program, and really bringing efforts to diversify and grow our local provider capacity while we prepare to increase our rates of referrals. Under prevention, the service has partnered with the region of Waterloo Public Health to develop police-specific training about adverse childhood experiences. This will inform our officers about key impacts on youth that may have negative lifespan consequences. And we look forward to sharing that training with provincial law enforcement partners as well. We're also making investments. We look forward to an upcoming youth engagement coordinator role, which will oversee the service's preventative and pro-social youth programming, bringing regional coordination to our frontline and specialized units. And another net new development, which just started a couple of weeks ago, we have the service has partnered with the YMCA, of Three Rivers, and building reputations for nurturing development to pilot a youth mentorship program focused on athletic and personal development. This is led by Kevell Johnson, the head coach of the Wilfrid Laurier University men's basketball program, and it's running out of the A.R. Kaufman Y location for 8 weeks, and very excited to see the outcomes of that program. And I will take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Sandy, question?
Yeah, thank you. Just and on one level, it really doesn't matter, but I'm curious what age is considered youth?
So under the Youth Criminal Justice Act, that is the ages 12 to 17 inclusive. And under our youth engagement strategy, we've extended that up to the age of 21.
And when you've talked about a number of actions that are being taken, and I know there's some really good things being done. You talked about having more referrals sooner with some of the people. Is there anything that you would say has been really successful more than the others? Or like, what are the most successful interventions that you've noticed?
I will, Chief, I don't know if you'd like to jump in, but I'm happy to start us off.
Yeah, start us off, and then I'll have a few comments. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you. Certainly, we see the great value in the development of positive relationships with young people in our community. We have our youth in policing program happening currently. We have Cops and Youth, which has been an ongoing program. So those relationships are invaluable. I think for the purposes of the youth engagement strategy, we're mid-flight and look forward to an evaluation as we look through some of our metrics in terms of our partnership with Measurement for Change, as well as the upcoming Youth Impact Survey data, which should inform us of how we've been doing over the last couple of years. We also have our Canadian police performance metrics that we look towards. But so apologies, no definitive answer for you there, but I'll pass to the Chief for his comments.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, this is beyond a local issue, and I was reminded this morning by Deputy Davis of the old adage that if it's predictable, it's preventable. And we know we need to get our interventions not only positively through our policing engagements, but also across our community. So the coordination and the machine capabilities of bringing people together with the community safety and wellbeing plan is crucial. I'll highlight a couple things. I mean, Deputy Goodman and his teams with the child or community youth engagement officers have been doing crucial engagement work with our highest risk youth for many years. we want to accelerate and add to that capability. Our diversion programs and connectors in that respect are crucial to finding better pathways for young people. And just to highlight to the board, and I look forward to coming back to report some of our collaborative partnerships. There's two streams of funding that have come to our community. The first one is a federal grant for Building Safer Communities Fund, an allocation for guns and gangs funding, and we would like to see that streamed appropriately for youth interventions. And the other stream that is coming provincially is the School Resource Officer Program that is providing allocations to our community as well. So future commitments to report back to the board, but those are crucial about our pathway forward in our youth coordination to lead and to continue on the youth engagement strategy.
Okay, no other questions. I think we'll move on. Thank you, Inspector Mathias, and I think we'll move on to the Chief's monthly Chief of Police report.
Okay, thanks very much, members of the board. It's been a busy July and into August. I'm very proud to present this month's Chief of Police report. To start off, just to recognize the number of shooting incidents that we've had year to date. We are tracking similar to on trend with last year, where there was a flurry of shooting incidents throughout the summer months. On the screen, recognizing shooting incidents that occurred July 18th in Kitchener, July 26th in Waterloo, July 31st in Kitchener, and then on August 8th in Waterloo, and one more just recently in Kitchener. All of these are dramatic incidents impacting lives in our community, and our investigative teams have had some success in identifying and laying charges in a couple incidents, but our investigative efforts are still ongoing. Last year, we recognized a total of 18 shooting incidents, and over the past 4 years, we've had an average of 20 shooting incidents. So as we have highlighted regularly, firearms-related offenses is our highest priority for our crime suppression efforts. Along that note, just to recognize one example of excellent work, members from our Central Division Street Crime team initiated an investigation into drug trafficking and firearms-related offenses, and on August 12th, executed a search warrant in Kitchener, resulting in the location of a loaded handgun, ammunition, and drug evidence, resulting in the arrest of 2 individuals. We had an attempt murder investigation that occurred on July 29th, where officers responded to a residence in Kitchener for the report of a stabbing. Upon responding, officers located an adult male suffering from non-life-threatening injuries, transported to hospital, and as a result, a 28-year-old male was arrested and charged with attempted murder. This was a targeted incident in our community. Looking at trends of crime, we continue to make concerted efforts in organized retail crime thefts, where we have organized groups committing retail crime, but also chronic and prolific offenses and offenders carrying out these continuous offenses in our community. I just want to recognize great work in Cambridge, where as a result of investigation, a male was charged with 19 counts of theft under $5,000 and 12 counts of disguise with intent for his continued targeting of LCBO stores in the Cambridge area. And that investigation continues with our commitment to retail crime theft across the community. Also want to recognize immense work related to frauds involving mostly seniors, but related to renovation frauds. We had victims amounting to the loss of $500,000 as our investigators linked frauds to similar incidents across our region and across Canada. And as a result, we have arrested 3 males who have been remanded into custody, believed to have been responsible for many renovation frauds across our community. So we encourage the public to report to police while incidents do occur, to allow us to continue to intervene and solve these crimes. And just looking at other trends as well, we recognized in Cambridge a flurry of vehicle thefts and thefts from vehicles. So we initiated some proactive preventative interventions related to our Lock It and Lose It campaign, recognizing that many vehicles were still left unlocked, leading to thefts and and occurrences across neighborhoods. So we will continue our Lock It and Lose It campaigns throughout the region, especially with Safe Semester just around the corner. Turning to road safety, you can see recognized all of our commitments to the Fatal 4 incidents and beyond through the dedicated work of our traffic enforcement teams and community policing teams as well. And just to recognize one incident of many, stunt driving and very aggressive, dangerous behavior. One male was stopped driving 141 kilometers in a 60-kilometer zone in Cambridge, and as a result, faced numerous charges and the suspension and impoundment of the vehicle. On a happier note, very proud to have brought recruit class 1, 2, 3 through the police college and to our badge ceremony held in Cambridge for an amazing ceremony, and very proud that they are continuing on their journey of field development, and they will be hitting the road as full-fledged officers towards the end of this year. And also recognizing a very successful 9th annual Backpack Challenge program. Throughout this summer, we have been mobilized and inspired by our community with so many donations. So this week, we're going from gathering to distribution. So we want to thank our community, and we'll look forward to coming back in September with a wrap-up and to celebrate the success and the generosity of our community. And throughout the summer months, so many chances to engage, to celebrate, and to meet up with members of our community, and our officers have been very proud to do so. As we head into the end of summer and into the school year, that work will certainly continue. So subject to any comments or questions, that's the Chief of Police report for July and August. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Questions, comments for the Chief? Thank you for the report. It's always amazing. There's so much going on that in reading the reports to get ready for these meetings, it's amazing work that you and the team do. And so thank you for your service and the team keeping the community safe. If there's no more questions, we'll move on. New business. I don't see any agenda items, Megan. None. Information items. Don't see any. I will say once we adjourn, media are welcome to log into the Zoom with the login details were provided. The Chief Crow and myself will be available to take questions. And with that, I look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Jim, seconded by Sandy. All those in favor? Pass unanimously.